Joining me now is Congressman Chip Roy from Texas. He's member of the House Budget and Judiciary Committees. We're going to talk to you about both sides of those committees. But first of all, on this whip call, what does that mean? Does that mean that they may have something that they're going to present to the members to see how they feel about it?
No, what this call is about tonight is really procedural. Because our Democratic colleagues have been MIA, the Senate was completely, missing from Washington this last week on recess. The president was over in Japan, spent 104 days doing nothing. Republicans are the ones that have acted. We passed legislation, as you know. We've been in Washington doing our job and trying to negotiate this past week. Tonight, we're going to have a procedural call about how we whip and come to agreement on whatever might be finally proposed by the White House, since they've finally awakened from their slumber and recognized that they've created this manufactured crisis. So we're going to have a procedural call tonight to figure out how we execute in the absence of any Democratic leadership.
And I guess they're trying to feel what would be a deal breaker for members of the caucus, right? I mean, if all the members of the caucus say, look, for example, we're going to stick by the work requirement no matter what, then they know that, and maybe they could get a sense of what would be negotiable with the president.
Yeah, that's certainly part of it. Let me just first start by saying I think Speaker McCarthy and our leadership team has been doing a great job. We have a unified conference. Again, we're the ones that have passed responsible legislation on the debt ceiling, on the border, while our Democrat colleagues have been virtually MIA. And so I'd like to keep that unity. But here's a cautionary tale to your point. What we're being asked to do by somebody is pass a debt ceiling increase upwards of $4 trillion. Okay, that's what allegedly is on the table. We don't know. We haven't seen whatever agreement is, allegedly getting reached. But I know that the Democrats at the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue and the White House, as well as our colleagues on the Hill, they want about a $4 trillion plus up. Now, I'd ask you and everybody watching this, what would you demand for a $4 trillion increase, basically increasing our debt by another 12.5%? And so we think we need substantive, transformative changes. We passed those in our previous legislation, the Limit, Save, Grow Act. We think we need to keep those and more if they want to up the ante, right? Let's add border security. Let's add other things. So the idea that we should do this just for a few cuts and some work requirements is kind of a step backwards. So we're all trying to work together to make sure we move this deal forward, because I'm not going to go look at my constituents and say, oh, goody, we got $4 trillion of additional debt for maybe a few crumbs. We got to get something that's really serious. And so I hope that's where the negotiations go.
Particularly when you look at the president's rating on the economy, 65% of Americans disapprove of what he's doing on the economy. They don't like it. They're underwater. Inflation is higher than their pay raises, so it's no wonder they don't like it. Doesn't that give you the upper hand in the negotiations?
Absolutely, which is why we shouldn't take, the next off-ramp. We need to look 4, 5, 6 off-ramps down the road and make sure we get what the American people deserve. We have inflation because of all of this spending. We had dumped $4 to $5 trillion into the economy over the last 2 years because of COVID. All that government spending caused massive problems. We're paying people not to work, but we are also engaged in massive corporate cronyism. We are giving massive subsidies to companies, over $1 billion, to advance this radical leftist, green agenda, which is really unreliable energy, destroying our grid, making us beholden to China. We're subsidizing people with student loans. The 87% of Americans who don't have student loans, like the plumber who just started a job, that guy's being asked now to subsidize electronic vehicles for suburbanites and to subsidize student loans for someone who got a gender studies degree living in their basement
on
tweeting.
The student loan issue, aren't the courts going to take care of that? It's likely the Supreme Court would make that null and void, no?
Well, I certainly hope so. I believe it's unconstitutional, unlawful what they've done, but why should we punt to the courts? We have a duty to defend the Constitution. We should roll this into the deal. We should kill it. It's $500 billion in deficit spending in 2023. So I think Republicans ought to hold the line. Don't blink, to your point. The president has a terrible approval rating because we're standing up and defending the people of this country. Right. So I think we ought to just hold the line. They're not going to default. The president knows he can't default. They're going to have to figure out how to prioritize, he and Yellen. And if they want to sit down to the table next week, we could, for example, take the COVID money, $40, $50 billion. We could get rid of the IRS plus up, which targets more Americans, and you got over $100 billion of cash right there. Yeah. You could manage cash flow for a couple more months.
But we're let's
just do the work the American people want us to.
The American people are still hearing from the mainstream media that word default,
yeah.
and they keep misreporting what would bring it on. This is from Mediaite, which looks at all, kind of represents the mainstream media writ large. It says, if Congress and Biden do not agree to raise the limit, the country will default on its obligations on or around June 1st. Well, that's not really true. There are all kinds of things that they can do to avoid a default, aren't there?
Yeah, that's definitely correct. I mean, we know for sure June 1 is not, the supposed X date. Does it get a little sticky in June if our Democrat colleagues won't do the responsible thing? Sure, but the secretary can work and to move cash to be able to pay off the bond payments that we owe so that we don't default on our debt. They can manage Social Security, and then we need to sit down at the table and do what we need to do to honor all obligations. But they can prioritize. We will not default unless the President of the United States chooses to default. Republicans should hold the line for the American people. They demand fiscal responsibility, not a blank check for another $4 trillion of debt for some crumbs in order for Democrats to save face from abandoning their job.
Well, while the president has kind of eased his reticence for any kind of negotiations, he began that hard line a couple of months ago, stuck with it until he saw his ratings go way down. Then he kind of changed his tune. But the left wing of the party is still playing hardball. Here's, you have the Raskins and the Bowmans, the hard left of the party in the House. Here's what Congressman Bowman said about you guys using a new term for Republicans. Roll tape.
I called on the president to invoke the 14th Amendment and mint a coin and do not negotiate with hostage takers. I mean, we don't negotiate with terrorists globally. Why are we going to negotiate with the economic terrorists here that are the Republican Party?
So economic terrorism, that's what you're practicing. How do you respond to that?
Well, as I responded on the floor just yesterday to my colleague, Ms. Ocasio-Cortez, when she said, "Has you ever heard anybody complain about having a big government?" And I said, yes, all of my constituents. Look, they want to say this is economic terrorism. The only terrorism going on are what my Democratic colleagues are doing with the American dream. They're destroying the American dream by spending money we don't have, driving up inflation, paying bureaucrats to undo the American dream by regulating them to death and undermining their ability to go about their daily lives. We have an obligation to hold the line on that. These guys, they want to hold the American people hostage for a $4 trillion blank check for more bureaucracy. We're standing up for them, the hardworking American family who's getting rolled over by corporate cronyism and big government. Enough? Let's restore the American dream.
And, of course, part of that spending includes supersizing the IRS. And related to the IRS is the other hat you wear in the judiciary. This whistleblower who came forward, his name is Gary Shapley. It's a pretty brave thing to come forward. You open yourself up to all kinds of threats, et cetera. Here's what he said to CBS the other day. Let me roll that tape.
There was multiple steps that were slow walked at the direction of the Department of Justice. When I took control of this particular investigation, I immediately saw it, was way outside the norm of what I've experienced in the past.
So quickly, two questions. What are you doing to protect that whistleblower? And two, how do you investigate the degree to which the Department of Justice got involved in taking him and the rest of the team off of the Hunter case?
Yeah, that's great. On the second question, look, one of the reasons we created the Weaponization Committee in January and then on the Judiciary Committee generally, we're going to haul folks in. We're doing what we're doing. We put the whistleblowers up in front for the American people to see. We now need to go in and start rooting out the Department of Justice. And let me just say, when we're talking about the funding of government, this is our point. Why are we funding a government weaponized against the American people, weaponized against former President Trump, as we saw in the Durham report? What you just heard right there about the whistleblowers, an IRS that years ago, Lois Lerner was going after conservatives, a Department of Justice that made a domestic terrorist out of Scott Smith for defending his daughter in Loudoun County. Look, we've got to stop that. That's part of ratcheting back our funding of the bureaucracy. James Madison gave us the power of the purse. We should darn well use it.
Chip Roy, great to see you. Thank you very much. And God bless you all on Memorial Day weekend. We hope you honor the troops this weekend. Thank you for being here.
Happy Memorial Day to all of the great Americans out there. Celebrate those who gave the last full measure. God bless.
I appreciate it.